dreckiges Lachen vergeht, wenn ihr euer eigenes Blut fließen seht. Die Waffengemeinschaft Germaniens steht, für einen Kommen ist es jetzt zu spät.
I've got one that can see.
Where there's thunder, there's lightning. John Nada. I appear to have, I guess the last video was not a very popular video. That seemed like a lot of people responded well to it, but I noticed the subscriptions went down a bit again. And I had this thought about that whole thing, is that a lot of Mgtow content consumers are actually a lot like women in a lot of ways. And as long as you continue to toe the line they think you should toe and say the things that they want to hear, then you're a good Mgtow content provider. But if you deviate at all, if you show any vulnerability, if you show any shades of the blue pill past, or show any kind of basic humanity, then you're just you're as bad as the Manginas and White Knights. And that's why this channel will never be, I'll never probably have more than 1,000 subscriptions at the most, because when you tell the truth, and I don't have an image to preserve. I don't have, any, I just am who I am, and I just try to be as real as possible, because I know that the reality of it is that there's a lot of guys out there that just want somebody to be honest with them and be honest with themselves without playing a role. And so I just accept it. And I have always said, if I have helped one person, then I'll continue to make videos and continue to produce content, because at the end of the day, if one person gets help, that's a tremendous accomplishment in my view. I was watching a Steve Hoka video earlier today, the latest one he put out, and he, out of the whole thing, one glaring problem with something that he said in the video, he says that women are not the way they are because of nature. It's not their behavior, it's not their default programming, but rather because of the statistics, basically. And his whole argument is that there's not enough available women for guys, or per guys out there, and that's really just causing a throwing off in the balance of the system. But the reality of it is that anybody that's been in Mgtow, anybody that's taken the red pill, anybody that's even really been a guy for more than 5 minutes can see pretty quickly that it is a female nature issue, because of things like hypergamy and branch swinging and all the things of the like. Basically, I came to this thought, and I've had it many times. It's not a new revelation to anybody, but you will never win. You play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. And you can do all the self-improvement you want. See, this is why strictly red pill thinking doesn't work. This is why Mgtow, in my view, is superior to TRP or the red pill or whatever you want to call it. Because fundamentally, the red pill ideology or the red pill TM trademark, whatever, fundamentally they are doing the self-improvement. They are changing their lives. They are making these Herculean efforts, not for the sake of change, not to better themselves, not for their own sanctity or soul, but to please the almighty vagina. That's the ultimate reason why they do everything. Now, they may mask it in holding frame. They may mask it in I'm doing it, for A, B, and C. But the real reality, the real fact of the matter is that they would not do these things if they did not think that it helped them in their efforts. Now, here's the thing. certainly improving yourself, certainly doing a lot of these things will make it a lot easier to meet women and be successful with women. I mean, I've done it myself. I know others have done it. But ultimately, you will lose because you will never really win. Because when it comes down to it, and I was watching End of Watch the other day, and there's a part in that movie where he's talking about meeting women and the badge bunnies and all that kind of stuff. And he's going around and he's, I know there's a friend of mine that's like this. Sleeps with women, doesn't have any difficulty sleeping around or whatever. And some of these women are actually fairly attractive women. But what he's really wanting is a relationship. What he's really wanting is a connection with somebody. And in the movie, he talks about how, when he goes to talk to the girl, he has nothing to talk to him about. There's no, beyond the physical, there's no connection there. And that's ultimately, see, guys have gotten a bad rap for just wanting nothing but sex. And really, honestly, if you're an all right looking guy and you've got some things going on in your life, it's not that difficult to sleep with somebody. It really isn't. But the problem is that really what most guys or a lot of guys want, hence the blue pill thinking and the this even being an issue for a lot of guys, is that they want to meet somebody that is something more to them than just physical or something more. They want a connection with somebody. They want the quote unquote soulmate. But it's just not a reality. I mean, it's mental masturbation. You're thinking about something and hoping for something that you have no ability to make happen. And in the end, you're just fucking yourself. What they don't tell you in life when you start out in school, of course, and school is a very gynocentric environment to be in, and it's a wonder any young man makes it out of there with any kind of self-esteem, because you're constantly berated and told that you're not good enough, not smart enough, and if you deviate outside the norm at all, they're fairly quickly to knock you back in line and really try to crush your spirit in every way that they can. But what you don't get told in life is everything you need is already inside of you. And when it comes to things like self-improvement, it doesn't work when you do it for other people. Do you lose weight? Sure. Do you maybe learn a little bit more of a foreign language? Sure. But the transformative, soul-changing effect that you're really trying to achieve, and that is really the whole reason why you're even doing it to begin with, will never be achieved as long as you're doing it for someone other than yourself, or for something other than yourself. You're not ever going to win the game. Sure, you might sleep around with a few girls, you might have a few LTRs here and there, but ultimately they're never going to be fulfilling, because ultimately they're doomed to fail. Ultimately, the expectations that you have are not going to be fulfilled. Ultimately, a woman cannot fulfill you in the way that you dreamed for, hoped for, and were told that they were able to do. Because like I said, everything that you need is already there. And it's not it's not in, on the outside somewhere. It's not within some other person. It's within. And one of the other tragedies that I see, and I've seen it in my own life, is this tendency for a lot of guys to stay where they're at. They pine for the ex, or they pine for the past, or they pine for some perceived Nawalt. And it may not even be relationship related. They maybe just pine for a time in the past, or they get stuck. I've always likened it unto the way stations. You're on the Silk Road. You're taking this journey. You're on this trail, the road to Damascus, if you will. And along the way, you've got these way stations. And so you go along, you go along the Appalachian Trail for a little while, and then you stop off at a way stations, resupply and everything. But what happens to a lot of guys is they start the journey but never reach the destination, because somewhere along the line, they find a way station that they like and they stay. And to me, one of the biggest tragedies is to stop growing, to stop progressing. Bruce Lee said running water never goes stale, so you got to just keep on flowing. It's not progression for progression's sake, but life is the process of becoming. And becoming what is up to you. But if you stay in the past, or if you stay somewhere where you're comfortable, then you never really see beyond the crest of the hill, and you don't see what potential you have. You don't see what you could accomplish. Not to accomplish for a woman's sake, not to accomplish necessarily for society's sake or anyone else's sake, but to see what you could do, to prove it to yourself, to accomplish things for yourself in your own gain, to become the person you were always meant to be, not for anybody else, but for the sake of, that the universe intended it. And so that's a lot of the problem I see. And I see it a lot in Mgtow as well. Once you take a step forward, a lot of times you take 2 steps back. The programming is real. I mean, even with taking a daily red pill, I think people are lying to themselves if they say there aren't those days that are difficult. If they say that there aren't those days from the past that they wish things would have turned out differently. I think people lie to themselves all the time because it's comfortable to lie to oneself. But you really can't lie to yourself, can you? Because ultimately, in the back of your head, you know the truth. And I wish people would be more honest with themselves and really look at things and assess things for how they are, because it's only in doing that that you can come up with some sort of solution to the issue. Now, I'm not saying I have the answers to all your problems. I don't have the answers to what you're facing, because like I said, the answers that you need are in you. The solutions are inside of you. You just have to take the time to dig them out, so to speak. But I don't think we're going to get anywhere as individuals if we're not willing to be honest with ourselves and willing to be honest about how we really feel about things and how we really look at things. Every day is not sunshine and rainbows, and if it is, then you must be living your life so carefully as to have never lived at all. Are there some really good days? Yeah. Am I freer than I was before? Are you freer than you were before? Well, only you can really answer that question. Only the individual can really say where they are with that. Because a lot of times I feel like we have this newfound freedom, this newfound liberation, and yet we're squandering it. We're not doing what we really could be doing. We're not progressing. We're not reaching our full potential. We're not becoming what we could be. And the greatness that's within inside of us is not being manifest. At the end of the day, as Alan Watts once said, the only thing that you really have to lose is your chains. And if you think about that and live your life with that in mind, imagine the things that could be. This has been the Days of Thunder. I am John Nana. And remember, you are free to do as you're told.